Pardon me, gentlemen. To continue, you've heard a long and complex case. Murder in the first degree. Premeditated homicide is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've listened to the testimony. You've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to sit down, to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, a reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event you find the accused guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case. I don't envy your job. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
Everybody's here.
You know something? I phoned up for the weather this morning. This is the hottest day of the year. I think they'd at least air condition the place. I almost dropped dead in court.
Hey, what are those?
Well, I was figuring we might want to vote by ballots.
Great idea. Maybe we can get him elected senator.
Hey, what'd you think of it?
I don't know, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was falling asleep.
I've never been on a jury before.
Really, I don't know. I've sat on these juries, you know, and it always surprises me the way these lawyers can talk and talk and talk. Especially when a case is as obvious as this one. I mean, have you ever seen so much talk about nothing?
Well, I guess they're entitled to.
Sure, they're entitled, sure, that's the system. Everybody deserves a fair trial. Look, I'm the last one to say anything against it, you know, but I think we'd be a lot better off if we took some of these tough kids and slapped them down hard before they make trouble. Save us a lot of time and money.
Hey, how about get things started here, huh?
Yeah, let's get this thing over with. Now we probably all got things to do.
Well, I was figuring we'd take a 5-minute break. I mean, one gentleman's in the bathroom.
Are we going to sit in order?
What?
In order, around the table?
Oh, I don't know, I suppose so.
Not a bad view there. So what'd you think of the case? I thought it was pretty interesting. There's no dead spots, you know what I mean? I tell you, we're lucky to get a murder case. We could have ended up one of those burglaries or assaults. I hear those can be really dull. Say, isn't that the Woolworth store?
That's right.
You know, it's funny, I've lived here my entire life and I've never been in there.
Yeah, and what about that business with the knife? I mean, asking grown-up men to believe that kind of crap.
Well, look, you gotta expect that. Look at what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I suppose. Hey, what's the matter? You got a cold?
And how these hot weather colds can kill you know what I mean? I can hardly touch my nose.
Yeah, I just got over one. Hey, what do you say there?
Hey, anything exciting going on?
I was just wondering how the market closed.
Oh, hey, I wouldn't know. Hey, you on the exchange or something?
I'm a broker.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, look, maybe you can answer a question for me. You see, I got this uncle, and he's been working on some of this...
All right, gentlemen, let's take our seats.
Yeah, this better be fast. I got tickets to the ball game tonight. Yanks Cleveland. We got this new kid, Mojalewski or whatever his name is going. He's a real bull, this kid. Shaboom! A real jug hammer. Where do you want us to sit, huh?
Well, I was thinking we ought to sit in order by jury number, you know, 2, 3, 4, and so on, if that's okay with you, gentlemen.
What's the difference?
I think it's reasonable we'll sit according to number.
Let it be.
2 is down there, sir.
Hey, where's Ruth?
2 is there. 3 is next. 4, 5, 6, 7 is here, of course. 8.
So what was your impression of the prosecuting clerk?
A big pocket.
I thought he was really sharp. You know, the way he hammered on his points, one by one, right in order. It takes a good brain to do that. I was very impressed.
I think he did an expert job.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he had a lot of drive, too. You know, real drive.
Okay, let's get this show on the road.
How about sitting down? The gentleman at the window. How about sitting down?
Pretty tough to figure, isn't it? The kid kills his father. Bing, just like
Well, you
that.
analyze the
It's
case.
the element, I'm telling you. They let those kids run wild up there. Huh. Maybe it serves them right, I don't know.
Is everybody here?
The old man's inside.
Would you knock on the door, sir?
Hey, are you Yankee fan?
No, Baltimore.
Baltimore? Oh, the suffering. That's like getting hit in the head once a day with a crowbar. Listen, who they got?
He's just coming to get you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm asking you, who can they get aside great groundskeepers?
We'd like to get started.
Forgive me, gentlemen. I didn't mean to keep you waiting.
Baltimore.
All right. Now, you gentlemen can handle this any way you want to. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. If you want to discuss it first and then vote, well, that's one way. Or we can vote right now and see where we stand.
I think it's
Well,
customary.
that's all I have to say.
Yeah, let's vote. Maybe we can all go home, huh?
Well, it's up to you. Let's just remember that we have a first-degree murder charge here. If we vote guilty, we send the accused to the electric chair. That's mandatory.
I think we all know that.
Come on, let's vote.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Anybody doesn't want to vote? All right. This has to be a 12-0 vote either way. That's the law. Are we ready? All those voting guilty, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 for guilty. All right, not guilty? 1. 11 to 1 guilty. Now we know where we are.
Boy, oh boy, there's always one.
So now what do we do?
Well, I guess we talk.
Boy, oh boy.
Well, look, you really think he's innocent?
I don't know.
Come on, be reasonable. You sat in court and heard the same things we did. The man's a dangerous killer. You could see it.
He's 19 years old.
That's old enough. He knifed his father 4 inches into the chest.
I mean, it was pretty obvious. I mean, I was convinced the first day.
Well, who wasn't? You know what I mean? Hey, I think this is one of those, what do you call them, open and shut cases, huh? They proved it a dozen different ways. Would you like me to list them for you?
No,
Then what do you want?
nothing. I just want to talk.
Well, what's there to talk about? 11 men in here agreed. No one had to think about it twice except you.
Let me ask you something. Do you believe the story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
Well, there were 11 votes for guilty. It's not that easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Who says it's easy for me?
No one.
What, just because I voted first? I think he's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I'm not trying to change your mind. It's just that we're talking about a boy's life here. Supposing we're wrong.
Supposing we're wrong? And supposing this whole building fell into my head. I can suppose anything.
That's right.
Well, what difference does it make how long it takes? We honestly think he's guilty. So, supposing we take 5 minutes, huh? So what?
Let's take an hour. Ball game doesn't start until 8 o'clock.
Sure won't.
Well, who's got something to say?
Not me.
I'm willing to sit for an hour.
Great. I heard a pretty good story.
That's not what we're here for.
Well, then you tell me. What are we here for?
Well, I don't know. Maybe for no reason. Look, this boy's been kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum. His mother dead since he was 9. He spent 1.5 years in an orphanage while his father served a jail term for forgery. That's not a very good head start. He's a wild, angry kid. That's all he's ever been. You know how he got that way? He was hit in the head once a day, every day. He's had a pretty terrible 19 years. I think maybe we owe him a few words, that's all.
I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? What do you think that trial cost? He's lucky he got it, know what I mean? Look, you're not going to tell us we're supposed to believe that kid, knowing what he is. Listen, I've lived amongst them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that. I mean, they're born liars.
Only an ignorant man would believe that.
Now
You
listen.
think that you were born with a monopoly on the truth? I think certain things should be pointed out to this man.
All right, come on, this isn't Sunday. We don't need a sermon in here.
What he says is very dangerous.
Oh my God.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to be able to behave like gentlemen.
That's right.
If we're going to discuss the case, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good point. We have a job to do, let's do it. Maybe if the gentleman who's disagreeing over here could tell us why. You know, tell us what he thinks. We could show him where he's probably mixed up.
Rice pops. It's one of the products I work on at the agency. It's the breakfast with the built-in bowels. I wrote that one.
Oh, it's very catchy.
If you don't mind,
I'm sorry. See, I have this habit of doodling. It keeps me thinking.
we're trying to get someplace here. You know, we could be here forever.
Well, I've got an idea. I've been thinking over there. Seems to me it's up to us to convince this gentleman here that we're right and he's wrong. So, I was thinking maybe if each of us took a minute or two, ourselves, you know.
Well, it's just an idea.
No, I think it's a good one. Suppose we go once around the table.
Anything. Let's start it off.
Okay, how about you going first?
Not me, I think we ought to go in order.
That sounds all right. In order. A couple of minutes apiece. I guess you're first.
Oh, well, it's hard to put into words. I just think he's guilty. I mean, well, I thought it was obvious from the word go. I mean, well, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution. You've heard of it?
Well, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. It's just that. Well, what I meant is. Well, the man's guilty. I mean, somebody saw him do it.
All right. Look, this is what I think, huh? And I got no personal feelings about this. I'm talking facts. All right, number one. Let's take the old man who lived on the second floor, right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12 of the night of the killing, he said he heard loud noises, huh? He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the boy shout out, "I'm going to kill you." A split second later, the body hits the floor, huh? He ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid run down the stairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
That's right. Now those are the facts, huh? You can't refute facts. The boy is guilty, I'm telling you. Look, I am as sentimental as the next guy. I know he's only 19, but he's got to pay for what he did.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. Next.
Well, it was obvious to me anyway that the boy's entire story was flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies during the time of the killing, and yet 1 hour later, he couldn't remember the films he saw or the people that played in them.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
No one saw him going in or out of the theater.
Listen, what about that woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, nothing does.
That's right. She was the one who actually saw the killing.
Let's go in order here.
Wait a second. Here's a woman. Here's a woman who's lying in bed, can't sleep. She's dying of heat, know what I mean? Anyway, she looks out the window, and right across the street, she sees the kid stick the knife into his father. The time is 12:10 on the nose. Everything fits. Look, she's known the kid all his life. His window is right opposite hers, across the L tracks. And she swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of a passing elevated train.
Right. This L train had no passengers on it. It was just being moved downtown. The lights were up, remember? And they proved in court that at night, you can look through the windows of a passing elevated train when the lights are out and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you a question. You don't believe the boy. How come you believe the woman? She's one of them too, isn't she?
You're a pretty smart fellow.
Hey, let's take it.
What's he so wise for? I'm telling you.
Come on, what are you letting him get you so upset for? Come on, sit down, relax.
Now let's calm down. I mean, we're not going to get anywhere fighting, okay? Let's keep it peaceful in here. Well, whose turn is it?
It's this.
Okay, you've got 2 minutes.
I'll pass.
That's your privilege. How about the next gentleman?
Oh, I don't know. I started to be convinced pretty early in the case. I kept looking for a motive. I think that's very important. I mean, if there's no motive, then where's the case? But anyway, the testimony of those people that lived across the hall from the boy's apartment, that was very powerful. They said something about an argument between the father and the boy that night at, it was 7 o'clock. I might be wrong.
It was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock. They heard an argument, but they couldn't hear what it was about. Then they heard the father hit the boy twice, and finally they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house. What does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture.
Well, you said it revealed a motive for the killing. The prosecuting attorney said the same thing. Well, I don't think it's a very strong motive. Look, you know, this kid has been hit so many times that violence is practically a normal state of affairs for him. I can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him into committing murder.
It may have been too many. Everyone has a breaking point.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. How about you?
Me? I don't know. It's practically all said already. I mean, we can talk about it forever. It's the same thing. I mean, this kid is 0 for 5. Look at his record. At 10, he was in children's court for throwing a rock at his teacher. 15, he was in reform school. He stole a car, he's been arrested for mugging. He was picked up twice for knife fighting. Yeah, he's real swift with the knife, they say. Oh, this is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. Used his fists.
Yeah, so would I, a kid like that.
And how? It's the kids. It's the way they are nowadays. Look, when I was his age, I used to call my father sir.
Sir?
That's right, sir. You ever hear a boy call his father that anymore?
Fathers don't seem to think it's important anymore.
No? You got any kids?
3.
Yeah? Well, I got one. A boy, 22 years old. I'll tell you about it. When he was 9 years old, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed I almost threw up. So I told him straight out, I'm going to make a man out of you, or I'm going to bust you in half trying. Yeah, well, I made a man out of him, all right. When he was 16 years old, we had a real battle. He punched me in the face. He's big, you know. Rotten kids. You work your heart out for these kids. Well, come on. Let's get on with this thing here.
I think we're missing the point. This boy, let's say he is a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're here to decide whether he's guilty or innocent. Not to go into the reasons he grew up the way he did. He was born in the slum. Slums are breeding grounds for criminals. I know that, and so do you. It's no secret. Children from slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society. Now,
Brother, you can say that again. The kids who crawl out of those places are real trash. I don't want any part of them, I'm telling you.
I've lived in a slum my whole life.
Oh, now wait.
I used to play in backyards filled in garbage. Maybe it still smells at me, huh?
Now listen, Sonny.
Now let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Come on. He didn't mean you, fella. Why are you being so sensitive here? Sit down.
This sensitivity I can understand.
All right, let's stop all this arguing. We're wasting time here. It's your turn. Let's go.
Well, I didn't expect a turn. I thought you were all supposed to be convincing me. Isn't that the idea?
That was the idea.
Well, that's right. I forgot.
All right, he's the one who's keeping us in here. Let's see what
Now,
he
just a
says.
second. We decided to do it a certain way. Let's stick to what we said.
Oh, stop being a kid, will you?
A kid? What do you mean by that?
What do you think I mean? K-I-D, kid.
What? Just because I'm trying to keep this thing organized, listen. You want to do it? You sit here. You take the responsibilities. I'll just shut up, that's all.
Calm down, will you?
Don't tell me to calm down. You think it's such an easy thing to do? Come on, you want to run the show, Mr. Foreman? Let's see how well you would do it.
Did you ever see such a thing?
You think it's funny or something?
Let's take it easy. The whole thing's unimportant.
Unimportant? You want to do it?
No, listen. You're doing a beautiful job. No one wants to change. Just sit down.
All right, let's hear from somebody.
Well, it's all right with you. I'll tell you how I feel about it right now.
I don't care what you do.
All right. I haven't got anything brilliant. I only know as much as you do. According to the testimony, the boy looks guilty. Maybe he is. I don't know. But I sat there in court for 6 days listening while the evidence built up. You know, everyone sounded so positive that I started to get a peculiar feeling about this trial. I mean, nothing is that positive. I had questions I would have liked to have asked. Maybe they wouldn't have meant anything. But I started to get the feeling that the defense counsel wasn't conducting a thorough enough cross-examination. Let too many things go. Little things.
What little things? Listen, when these guys don't ask questions, that's because they know the answers already, and they figure they'll be heard.
Well, maybe. It's also possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it? It's possible.
Sounds like you met my brother-in-law.
No. I kept putting myself in the place of the boy. I would have asked for another lawyer, I think. I mean, if I was on trial for my life, I'd want my lawyer to tear the prosecution witnesses to shreds. Or at least to try. Look, there was one alleged eyewitness to this killing. Someone else claims he heard the killing and then saw the boy running out afterwards. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence, but actually those two witnesses were the entire case of the prosecution. We're talking about a boy's life here. Supposing they were wrong.
Supposing they were wrong, well, what's the point of having witnesses?
Could they be wrong?
Look, they sat on a stand under oath. What are you trying to say?
They're only people. People make mistakes. Could they be wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know so?
Oh, come on, listen. No one can know something like that. This isn't an exact science.
That's right, it isn't.
All right, come on. Why don't you get to the point here, huh? How about the knife they found in the father's chest?
Now, wait a second. I think we oughta... There's some people that haven't even talked
Well,
yet.
they can talk whenever they like, huh? Just sit down and be quiet a second, will you please? All right. What about the knife, huh? You know, the one a fine, upright boy admitted buying on the night of the killing. Let's talk about that.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's get it in here. I'd like to see it again. Mr. Foreman?
Hey, we all know what it looks like. Why do we have to look at it again? I don't see what we're going to get out of looking at this thing again.
You brought it up. What do you think? The knife and the way it was bought is pretty strong evidence. Don't you agree?
I do.
Good. Now, supposing we take the facts one at a time. 1. The boy admitted leaving the house at 8 o'clock on the night of the murder after being punched several times by his
He
father.
didn't say punch, he said hit. There's a difference between a slap and a punch.
After being hit several times by his father. 2. The boy went directly to the neighborhood junk shop where he purchased, what do you call those kind of knives?
Switchblade knife.
Switchblade knife, thank you. 3. This isn't what you call an ordinary knife. It had a very unusual carved handle. 4. The storekeeper who sold it to him identified it and said it was the only one of its kind he'd ever had in stock. 5. At about 8:45, the boy ran into some friends of his in front of a tavern. Am I correct so far?
Yes, you are.
You bet he is. Now listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about.
Now, the boy talked with his friends for about an hour or so, leaving them about 9:45, during which time they all saw the switchblade knife. 6. Each one of them identified the murder weapon in court as that very same knife. 7. The boy arrived home at 10 o'clock. Now, this is where the stories offered by the boy and the state begin to diverge slightly. The boy claims he stayed at home until 11:30 that night and then went out to one of those all-night movies. He arrived back home at 3:15 to find his father dead and himself arrested. And what happened to the switchblade knife? This is the charming and imaginative little fable that the boy invented. He claims that the knife fell through a hole in his pocket while he was on his trip to the movies sometime between 11:30 and 3:15, and then he never saw it again. Now there's a tale, gentlemen. I think it's quite obvious the boy never went out that night. No one in the house saw him leave, and no one at the theater could identify him. What actually happened is this. The boy stayed at home. He had another fight with his father. He stabbed him to death with this very same knife at 10 minutes after 12 and fled from the house. He even remembered to wipe the knife clean of the fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identified this knife. And now you're trying to make us believe that it really did fall through a hole in the boy's pocket. Someone found it on the street, picked it up, went to the boy's home, and stabbed his father with it, just to be amusing.
No. I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost the knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife.
Take a look at that knife. It's a very unusual knife. I've never seen one like it. And neither had the storekeeper who sold it to him. Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm just saying that it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible.
What's this?
What the hell's that?
Where'd that come from?
Hey, what's going on here?
Boy, look at it.
What
It's
is
almost
this?
the same thing.
Quiet, quiet. Where did you get that knife?
I was walking for a couple of hours last night. Just thinking. I walked through the boy's neighborhood. The knife comes from a little pawn shop 3 blocks from the boy's house. It cost $2.
It's against the law to buy or sell switchblade knives.
That's right. I broke the law.
You pulled a pretty bright trick right there, huh? So supposing you tell me what you think the truth, huh? Maybe there are 10 knives like that, so what?
Maybe there are.
So what, huh? It's the same kind of knife. What's that? The discovery of the age or something?
And it doesn't change the fact that it would still be an incredible coincidence for someone to have made the stabbing with the same kind of knife.
That's right, he's absolutely right.
And the odds are 1,000,000 to 1.
It's possible.
But not very probable.
All right, let's take our seats. There's no point in milling around here.
I think it's interesting that he find a knife just like the one the boy bought.
Okay, now what?
Interesting. Interesting. What, you think it proves anything?
Well, no, I was just trying
Yeah. Interesting, yeah. So how come the kid bought the knife to begin with, huh? Oh, don't tell me, I know. He bought it as a present for a friend of his, huh? He was going to give it to him the next day because he busted the other kid's knife, dropping it on the pavement.
That's what he said.
Oh,
The
bullshit.
friend testified that the boy did break his knife.
And how long before the killing, huh? 3 weeks. So how come our noble lad bought this knife 1/2 hour after his father smacked him, and 3.5 hours before they found that knife shoved up the hair in the father's chest?
Well, he was gonna give the knife to his friend. He just wanted to use it for a minute.
Hey, maybe you can answer this. It's one of the questions I wanted to ask in court. The boy bought the knife to use on his father. Why did he show it was to be the murder weapon to 3 of his friends just a couple of hours before the killing?
So maybe he decided to knife his old man when he got home.
He never told his friends he bought the thing as a present.
Oh, come on, will ya? All this is just talk. The boy lied and you know it.
He may have lied. Do you think he lied?
Now that's a stupid question. Sure he lied.
What do you think?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
You think he lied?
I don't know.
Oh, come on. What are you, the kid's lawyer or something? Hey, who are you to start cross-examining us? There's still 11 of us in here who think he's guilty.
Right. I mean, what do you think you're going to accomplish? You're not going to change anybody's mind. So you want to be stubborn and hang this jury? Go ahead. Kid will be tried again and found guilty as sure as he's born.
Probably right.
So what are you going to do about it, huh? We can be here all night.
It's only one night. A boy may die.
Oh, brother. Anybody got a deck of cards?
Hey, I don't think you got a joke about that.
What do you want me to do?
I don't see what all this stuff about the knife has to do with anything. Look, somebody saw the kid stab his father. What more do we need? You guys can talk the ears off of my head, know what I mean? I got 3 garages of mine going to pot while you're talking. Let's get done and get out of here.
But the knife was very important to the district attorney.
He's a-
He spent one whole day.
He's a 15th assistant or something. What does he know?
All right, let's get on with it now. These side arguments are only slowing us down. Well, what about it?
Come on, you're the only one.
I have a proposition to make to all of you. I want to call for a vote. I'd like you 11 men to vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We'll take a guilty verdict into the judge right now. But if anyone votes not guilty, we'll stay and talk this thing out. That's all. If you want to try it, I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it.
That sounds fair. Does everyone agree?
Yeah. Let's
Anyone
vote, let's
doesn't
vote.
agree? Let's pass these along. Guilty, 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 guilty. Not guilty.
Boy, oh boy, how do you like that?
And another guy flips his wig.
All right, who was it? I want to know.
Pardon, but this was a secret ballot. We agreed on that point. No, if the gentleman wants to remain secret...
Secret? The hell do you mean secret? There are no secrets in a jury room. I know who it was. Brother, you know, you're really something, huh? You come in here and you vote guilty just like everybody else. Then this golden-voiced preacher over here starts to tear your heart out with stories about little kids who couldn't help but becoming a murderer. So you change your vote. Well, if that isn't the most sickening, look, why don't you drop a quarter in his collection box?
Now, wait a minute. And you have no right to talk to me. Who the hell do you think you are, huh? Stop it.
Excitable. You bet I'm excitable. We're trying to put a guilty man in a chair where he belongs. And all of a sudden somebody starts telling fairy tales and we're listening.
Take it easy.
What do you mean, take it easy? You want to see a proven murderer walking the streets? Hey, why don't you give him his knife back, huh? It'll make it easier for him. Where the hell does he get the right to do this?
All right,
All of it.
let's stop all this arguing.
Please, I'd like to say something here. I thought a man was entitled to have unpopular opinions in this country. That's why I came here. In my country.
What do we have to listen to now? The whole history of your country?
Yeah, let's stick to the subject. I'm asking you,
What made you change your vote?
He didn't change his vote. There's nothing for him to tell you. I changed my vote. Would you like me to tell you why?
No, I wouldn't like you to tell me why.
Well, I'd like to make it clear anyways, if you don't mind.
Do we have to listen to this?
The man wants to talk.
Thank you. This gentleman has been standing alone against us. He doesn't say the boy is not guilty. He just isn't sure. Well, it's not easy to stand alone against the ridicule of others, even when there's a worthy cause. So he gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I respect his motives. Boy on trial is probably guilty. But I want to hear more. Right now, the vote is 10-2. I'm talking here. You have the right to.
Come on, we can't hear you. You never will.
Well, if the speech is over, maybe we can go on.
I think we ought to take a 5-minute break. I mean, one man's in there. Let's wait for him.
Good idea.
Looks like we're really hung up here. The thing with the old man was pretty unexpected. Wish I knew how we could bring this up. Well, you know what advertising is? It's pretty strange people. Well, they're not really strange. Just have a funny way to invest people. Sure, it's the same to your business. What do you do?
I'm a watchmaker.
Oh, really? I imagine the finance watchmaker. Yeah. Well, anyway, in advertising, we reach a point like this in a meeting. There's always some character ready with an idea. And it kills me. It's the weirdest thing in the world when they perceive the idea with a little phrase. Some guy will walk up and say, hey, I've got an idea. Let's run it up the flagpole, see if anyone salutes it. It's idiotic. It's funny.
Look, I got a little excited over there. Well, you know how it is. I didn't mean to get nasty or anything. Look, there's always somebody willing to give a proven criminal a second chance. Like this guy over here.
You gotta expect that. Look, they're old ladies. Listen, intelligent people like us, we gotta stick together to make sure that justice is done. But that's the most important thing. You stay with us, you hear?
Hey, say, you salesman?
I'm an architect.
You know what soft sell is? You're pretty good at it. Me, I tell you, I got a different technique. Drinks, jokes, pack them on their ass. I made $27,000 last year selling marmalade. That's not bad. Hey, what are you getting out of this anyway? Kicks? The boy's guilty, pal. Like the nose on your face. So why don't we all go home before we get sore throats, huh?
What's the difference whether you get it here or at the ball game?
Hey, no difference, pal. No difference at all.
Nice bunch of guys.
I guess they're the same as any.
Hey, how about that loud guy? The one who was telling us about his kid? The way he was talking? Man, that was an embarrassing thing. What a murderous day. Think we're going to be here much longer?
I don't know.
Come on, he's guilty for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We should have been out of here already. I mean, not that I care. This sure beats working, you know? You really think he's not guilty?
I don't know. It's possible.
Hey, pal, I'm betting you. I don't know you, but I'm betting you've never been wronger in your life. You gotta wrap this up. You're wasting your time.
Supposing you were the one on trial.
I'm not much in supposing. I'm just a working guy. My boss does all the supposing. Hey, but I will try one. Suppose you talk us all out of this, and the kid really did knife his father.
Well, I think the boy is probably guilty. But you go ahead and see what comes out. For the time being, it's a little less one-sided, that's all. My vote is only temporary. It's all the support I'm equipped to give.
All right. Gentlemen, let's take our seats.
Looks like we'll be here for dinner.
Come on now, let's get down to business. Who wants to start it off?
I think I want to make a point. Oh, pardon. I didn't mean to interrupt. Oh, go right ahead. Well, I just wanted to say that this might be just a small point, but the boy did have a motive for the murder. I mean, you know, the beatings and all. So if the boy didn't do it, who did? I mean, who else had a motive? I mean, that's my point. Nobody just goes out and kills somebody without a motive. I mean, unless they're just plain nuts.
As far as I know, we're supposed to decide whether or not the boy on trial is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here. That's a job for the police.
Very true. But we can't help but let the only motive we know of creep into our thoughts, now can we? And we can't help but ask ourselves, who else might have had a motive? Not the boy, then who else? Somebody killed him.
Shoom! Mochalaski did it!
Hey, Hey, you're talking about the man I love, the world's greatest rookie. He's got a rubber arm.
If you two don't have anything else to add besides jokes, then I suggest you listen.
So just letting off a little steam here, huh? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Maybe you can answer this for me. Who else might have killed him?
I don't know. The father wasn't exactly a model citizen. The boy's lawyer brought this out pretty clearly, I thought. He was in prison once. He was known to be a consistent horse bettor. He spent a lot of time in neighborhood bars. We get into fights sometimes after a couple of drinks. One of them was over a woman no one can seem to remember. So here are a few possibilities. Could have been murdered by any one of the many men he served time with in prison. By a bookmaker, by a man he'd beaten up, by a woman he'd picked up, by any one of the characters he was known to hang out with.
Boy, oh boy, that's the biggest load of tripe I ever... Look, we know the father was a bum. So what's that got to do with anything?
I didn't bring it up. I was asked who else might have killed him. I gave my answer.
That gentleman over there asked a direct question.
Everyone's a lawyer.
Well, look, as long as you join the discussion here, huh? Maybe you can answer a question for me, huh?
No need to be sarcastic.
Would you please answer a question for me? Sir! The old man said that you heard the kid shout out, "I'm gonna kill you." A split second later, the body hit the floor. He ran to the door of his apartment, he looked out, and he saw the kid run down the stairs and out of the house. Now what does all that mean to you?
I was wondering how clearly he could have heard the boy's voice through the ceiling.
You didn't hear it through the ceiling. The window was open, and so was the window upstairs. It was a hot night, remember?
The voice came from another apartment. It's not that easy to recognize a voice, especially a shouting voice.
He identified it in court. He picked the boy's voice out of 5 other voices, blindfolded.
That's not the same. He knows the boy's voice very well. They've lived in the same house for years. And to identify it positively from the apartment downstairs, isn't it possible that he was wrong? That maybe he thought the boy was upstairs and automatically decided that the voice he heard was the boy's voice?
I think that that's getting a bit far-fetched.
You said a mouthful. Look, he heard the father's body falling, and then he saw the boy running out of the house. He saw the boy.
Yeah, that's right. And don't forget the woman across the street. She looked out the open window, saw the boy stab his father. Isn't that good enough for you?
Not right now. Oh, it isn't.
Oh, how do you like him? It's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman testified she saw 6 cars and she could see through the windows of the last 2. She remembered the most insignificant of details. I don't see how you can argue with
Well,
that.
what have you got to say about it?
I don't know. It doesn't sound right.
Well,
to me.
supposing you think about it, huh? All right, give me your pencil, will ya?
Hey, you know, I don't think he would have shown the knife to his friends.
Listen, well, what difference does that make?
Come on, it's your turn. We might as well pass the time.
I don't know if it does make a difference. I was just thinking about it. Well, listen, this boy.
Hey, wait a minute.
Is it a game?
Who the hell do you think you are?
Take it easy.
I got a good mind for this tape.
Now, please, I don't want any fights in here.
Who the hell does he think he is? You see him? The nerve, the absolute
Take
nerve.
it easy. It's not that important. Know what I mean?
Come on, a game.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Come on now, it's all over. Let's sit down.
I was just wondering if anyone has an idea how long it takes an elevated train going at medium speed to pass a given point.
What has that got to do with anything?
How long? Take a guess.
I haven't the slightest idea.
What'd you say?
I would guess around 10, 12 seconds, maybe.
Come on, what's all this
Sounds
for?
about right. Anyone else?
That sounds right to me.
Come on. What's the guessing game for?
What do you think?
10 seconds is about right.
All right, let's say 10 seconds. What's your point?
Okay, now, an L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point, right? Now, say that given point is the open window of the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out of the window of that room and touch the L tracks, right? Now, has anyone here ever lived right next to an L line?
Well, I just finished painting an apartment that overlooked an outline. I'm a house painter. I was there 3 days.
What was it like?
What do you mean?
Noisy?
Oh, brother, was it? That didn't matter much, though. We're all a little punchy in our business.
You know, I lived in a second-floor apartment once, right next to an L line. When the train passes by and the windows open, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. You want to get that point
I
here?
will. Let's take 2 pieces of testimony and try to put them together. First, The old man in the apartment downstairs. He says that he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," right? And a split second later, he heard the body hit the floor. 1 split second, right?
That's right.
Okay. Second, the woman across the street claimed positively that she looked out of her window and saw the killing through the last 2 cars of a passing elevated train, right? Last 2 cars.
All right, what are you giving us here?
Now, we agreed that an L train takes about 10 seconds to pass a given point. Since the woman saw the stabbing through the last 2 cars, we can assume that the body fell to the floor just as the L passed by. Therefore, the L had been roaring past the old man's window for a full 10 seconds before the body hit the floor. The old man, according to his own testimony, "I'm going to kill you." Body falling a split second later would have had to hear the boy make this statement with the L roaring past his nose. It's not possible that he could have heard it.
That's idiotic. Sure he could have heard it.
You think so?
He said he heard the boy shout it out. That's good enough for
If
me.
he heard anything at all, he still couldn't have identified the voice with the L roaring by.
We're talking about a matter of seconds here. Nobody can be that
Well,
accurate.
I think the testimony which could put a human being in the electric chair should be reasonably accurate.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe you didn't hear it with all the noise from the L.
Oh, come on. What's the matter with you people here, huh?
It makes sense. He couldn't have heard it.
You're crazy. Why would he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You know, you keep coming up with these pretty bright sayings, huh? Why don't you send one into the newspaper? They pay you $3.
Hey, what are you talking to him like that for? A guy who talks like that to an old man? You gotta learn some respect, mister.
I said, get your hands off it!
If you talk like that to him again, I'm gonna lay you out.
All right! Let's have some order in here. That's enough.
You go ahead and say anything you want. Why do you think the old man might have lied?
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under the arm. Did you notice it? I mean, come into court like that. He was a very old man with a torn jacket, and he walked very slowly to the stand. He was dragging his left leg and was trying to hide it because he was ashamed. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who has been nothing all of his life, has never had recognition, his name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him. Nobody quotes him. Nobody seeks his advice after 75 years. That's a very sad thing to be nothing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be listened to be quoted just once. This is very important. It would be so hard for him to receive
Now
into the
wait
background.
a minute! Are you trying to tell us that he'd lie just so he could be important once?
No, he wouldn't really lie. Perhaps he'd make himself believe that he'd heard those words and recognized the boy's pace.
Well, that is the most fantastic story I ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that? What do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
Boy, oh boy, that's what I call a hot one.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Yeah. You know something? I'd really like to...
Listen, we have to stop behaving like kids in here. We can't continue to let these emotional outbursts influence us. Gentlemen, this case is based on a logical and a reasonable progression of the facts. Let's keep it there.
The facts are sometimes colored by the personalities of the people who present them.
Anybody want a cough drop?
I'll take one.
Look, you guys can say whatever you like. I don't see how any one of you can still think this guy's not guilty.
There's another thing I wanted to talk about for a minute. I think we proved that the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," but
You didn't prove anything. What are you talking about?
supposing he really did hear it. You know, this phrase, thanks. How many times have each of us used it? Probably hundreds. "I could kill you for that, darling. If you do that once more, Junior, I'm going to kill you. Come on, Rocky, kill him." You know, we say it every day. Doesn't mean we're going to kill someone.
The phrase was, "I'm going to kill you." And the kid shouted it out the top of his lungs. Don't tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody says a thing like that, the way he said it, they mean it.
Now, wait a second. I remember I was arguing with a guy working next to at the bank. This guy called me an idiot, so I...
Oh, come on. Well, this guy's making you believe things that aren't so. The boy said he was going to kill him, and he did kill him.
Well, let me ask you this. You really think the boy would shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood could hear it? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Bright! He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak English.
I'm changing my vote. Not guilty.
You what?
You heard me.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
The vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
That isn't the living end. What are you basing it on? Stories this guy made up? He ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. He'd make a fortune. Look, there are facts staring you right in the face. Every one of them said this kid killed his old man. For crying out loud, his own lawyer knew he didn't stand a chance right from the very beginning. His own lawyer. Well, you can see it.
It's happened before that a lot of facts somehow fall into place. And all of a sudden, it looks like a murderer has been caught. But every once in a while, you hear about a convict who's been freed 10 years after the crime was committed because someone else has confessed.
I was talking to him, not you. Boy, this guy is really something. Look, that kid had a lawyer, didn't he? His lawyer presented a case, not you. So how come you got so much to say, huh?
Lawyers are not infallible.
He was court appointed.
So what's that mean?
Oh, that could mean a lot of things. Could mean he didn't want the case. Could mean he resented being appointed. It's the kind of case that brings him nothing. No money, no glory, not even much chance of winning. That's not a very promising situation for a young lawyer. You really have to believe in his client if you were to make a good fight. As you pointed out a minute ago, he obviously didn't.
Well, sure he didn't. I mean, who the hell could except maybe God come down to earth or somebody? Come on already, I mean, look at the time. Let's go.
But I've been making some notes here, and I would like to say something. I've been listening very carefully to what this man has said, and he has some very good points to make. From what was presented at the trial, the boy looks guilty on the surface. But maybe if we go a little deeper...
Come on, will you?
I have a question I would like to ask. We assume the boy committed murder. He stabbed his father in the chest and then ran away. That was at 10 minutes after 12. Now, how was he captured by the police? He came home a little bit after 3 o'clock and was caught by 2 detectives in the hallway of his house. My question is this. If the boy really had killed his father, why would he come back home 3 hours later? Would he be afraid of being caught?
He came home to get the knife. You see, it's not nice to leave knives sticking in other people's chests.
Yeah, especially relatives.
I don't see anything funny about this. The boy knew that there were people who could identify the knife as the one he just bought. He had to get it back before the police did.
But if he knew the knife could be identified, why did he leave it there in the first place?
Well, I think we can assume that he ran out in a state of panic after killing his father. And then when he calmed down, he realized he'd left a knife there.
Well, that depends on your definition of panic. He would have had to be calm enough to see that there were no fingerprints on the knife. Where then did his panic begin, and where did it end?
Look, you can forget all that other stuff. He came home to dig out his knife and get rid of it.
3 hours later?
Sure, 3 hours later.
Oh, I don't think if I were that boy that I would have come back home 3 hours later. I'd be afraid the police would be there. I would stay away, knife or no knife.
Look, you voted guilty, didn't you? What side are you on?
I don't believe I have to be loyal to one side or another. I'm just asking questions.
Look, this is just off of the top of my head. But if I were the boy, and I had done the stabbing, I would have taken a chance and gone back for the knife. And I bet he figured no one saw him, and that the body wasn't even discovered yet. Come on, you guys. It was the middle of night. He probably thought no one would find the body until the next day.
But here's my whole point. The woman across the street testified that a moment after she saw the killing, that is, a moment after the L train went by, she screamed, and then she went to call the police. Now, the boy must certainly have heard that scream and known that somebody saw something. I don't think if he had been the killer, he would have gone back.
2 things. Number 1, in his state of panic, he may not have heard the scream. Perhaps it wasn't very loud. 2, if he did hear the scream, he may not have connected it with his own act. Remember, he lives in a neighborhood where screams are fairly commonplace.
That's right. There's your answer.
Maybe Maybe he did stab his father, didn't hear the woman scream, did run out in a panic, did calm down 3 hours later and come back and try and get the knife, risking being caught by the police. Maybe all of those things are so, but maybe they're not. I think there's enough doubt to make us wonder whether he was there at all during the time the
What
murder
do you
took
mean,
place.
doubt? What are you talking about? Didn't the old man see the kid run out of the house? He's twisting the facts, I'm telling you. Well, did or didn't the old man see the kid running out of the house at 12:10? Well, did he or didn't he?
He says he did.
Oh, he says he did. Oh, boy, how do you like that? Well, did or didn't the woman across the street see the kid kill his father? She says she did. You people are making out like it don't matter what people say. What you want to believe, you believe. And what you don't want to believe, you don't believe. What kind of way is that? What do you think these people get on the witness stand for? Their help? I'm telling you, man, the facts are being changed around here. Witnesses are being doubted, and there's no reason for it.
Witnesses can make mistakes.
Sure, what do you want them to? They can, know what I mean?
All right, let's hold the yelling down.
You keep saying that. Maybe what we need is a little yell around here. These guys are going off every which way. Did hear the screams. Didn't hear the screams. What's the difference? You guys are only paying attention to the little tiny details. You forget about the important stuff. I mean, all of a sudden here, everybody...
vote.
Listen, I'm talking here.
There's another vote called for. How about taking seats?
Oh, come on, when are we going to gain by voting again?
I don't know.
I never
The gentleman asked.
I never saw so much time spent on nothing.
It only takes a second.
All right, I guess the fastest way is to find out who's voting not guilty. All those in favor of not guilty, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, still the same. 3 not guilties and 9 guilties.
So now where are we? I'm telling you, we can yak in here until next Tuesday. And where the hell is it getting us any...
Pardon. I will not guilty.
Oh, brothers!
Look, what's the matter with you people? Everybody going crazy in here or something, huh? The boy is guilty. Why don't you pay attention to the facts? Look, you talk to him, will you? This is getting to be a joke.
The vote is 8 to 4.
I mean,
Favor
everybody's
of guilty.
heart is starting to bleed around here. Like the president just declared it, love your underprivileged brother week or something. Look, I want you to stand up right now and tell me why you changed your vote. Come on, I want answers.
I don't have to defend my decision to you. I have a reasonable doubt in my mind.
Reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt. Yeah. Look at this. The kid you just decided isn't guilty was seen shoving this into his father's chest. Well, look at it, Mr. Reasonable Doubt.
That's not the knife, don't you remember?
Brilliant.
Well, if this isn't the craziest. I mean, you're sitting in here pulling stories out of thin air. What are we supposed to believe? I'm telling you, if this guy said ringside at the Dempsey-Furpo fight, he'd be trying to tell us Furpo won. Look, what about the old man? Are we supposed to believe that he didn't get up and run to his door and see the kid tan down the stairs 15 seconds after the killing? Oh, no. He's only saying that to be important, right? I mean, what's the
Hold a
purpose?
second.
Oh, gee, and a Baltimore rooter is heard from. And pop flies are dropping in for pigs hits wherever we look.
Did the old man say he ran to his door?
Ran? What the hell's that difference he got there today?
He said he ran to the door. At least I think he did.
I don't remember what he said. I didn't see how he could run.
The man said he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere. I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No. Mr. Foreman, I'd like to take a look at the diagram of the apartment.
Oh, why don't we have him run the whole trial over again, just so you can get everything straight,
I
huh?
heard you.
Hey, how come you're the only one that wants to look at exhibits all the time?
I want to look at this one too.
And I want to stop wasting time.
We're not going to start wading through all that nonsense about where the body was found again, are we?
Not unless someone else wants to. I'd like to see if a very old man who drags one leg when he walks because he had a stroke last year can get from his bedroom to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
He said 20 seconds.
He said...
What are you trying to do, distort the facts here or something?
He said 15.
How the hell does he know how long 15 seconds is? He can't judge a thing like
He
that.
said 15 seconds. He was very positive about it.
He was an old man. You saw him. Half the time he was confused. How could he be positive about anything?
Is this what you wanted?
What are we trying to prove here? The man said he saw the boy running out.
Well, let's see if the details bear him out. As soon as the body fell to the floor, the old man says that he heard footsteps upstairs running towards the front door. He heard the upstairs door open and the footsteps start down the stairs. Now, he got to his front door as soon as he could. Swore it couldn't have been more than 15 seconds. Now, if the killer began running immediately...
Well, maybe he did.
The old man said he did.
Oh, brother, I crown you king of the hair splitters.
Hey, I'm getting pretty sick to hear all your smart remarks.
My friend, for your $3 a day, you gotta listen to everything.
All right, now that he's got that thing in here, let's see what it's all about.
Okay. This is the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the L tracks, bedroom, another bedroom, bathroom, living room, kitchen. Here's the hallway to the apartment, the front door, and here's the stairs. Now, the old man says he got out of bed, went out into the hall, down the hall, and looked out just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right so far?
Yeah. That's the story for the 19th time.
15 seconds after the body hit the floor.
Correct.
Okay, now, the old man's bed was at the window. It's 12 feet from the bed to the bedroom door. The hallway is 43 feet 6 inches long. Now, he had to get out of bed, walk 12 feet to the bedroom door, walk 43 feet to the front door, open it and look out. All in 15 seconds. You think he could have done it?
Sure, he could have done it.
But he could only walk very slowly. They had to help him into the witness chair.
You make it sound like it's a long walk. It's not.
For an old man who's had a stroke, it is a long walk.
Hey, what are you doing over there?
I want to try this thing. See how long it took him.
What do you mean you want to try it? How come his lawyer didn't try it if it's so important?
Maybe his lawyer didn't think of it.
What do you mean, didn't think of it? You think the man's an idiot or something? It's an obvious thing.
Did you think of it?
Listen, smart guy, it don't matter whether I thought of it.
Okay, now.
He didn't bring it up because he figured it would have hurt his case. Now, what do you think of that?
Okay.
It's possible that he didn't bring it up because it would have meant badgering and bullying a helpless old man. Something that doesn't sit very well with a jury. Most lawyers avoid that type of thing if they can.
So what kind of bum is he then?
That's what I've been asking. All right, let's say this is the old man's bed. I'm going to pace off 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
You can't recreate a thing like that.
I'd like to see it.
It's a ridiculous waste of time.
Let him do it.
So hand me a chair. This is the door to the old man's bedroom. The hallway was a little over 43 feet long. I'll pace down to that wall and over.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What's the idea of wasting everybody's time?
According to you, it'll take only 15 seconds. We can spare that. Someone hand me another chair, please. This is the door to the outside hall and stairway. It was chain locked, according to the testimony.
That's right.
Okay. Has anyone here got a watch with a second hand?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. When you want me to start, slap the table. That'll be the body falling to the floor. Time me from there.
Oh, gee, anybody for charades?
I've never seen anything like this in my whole life.
Okay, I'm ready.
I want to wait till the second hand reaches 60.
Come on, speed it up. You walk twice as fast as that.
This is, I think, even more quickly than he walked in the courtroom.
If you think I should go faster, I will.
Come on, let's get this kid stuff over with, will ya?
Stop. What's the time?
15, 20, 33 seconds.
Oh my God, 33 seconds. I can't believe it. I think this is what happened. The old man had heard the fight between the boy and his father a few hours earlier. Then, while lying in bed, he heard the body hit the floor in the apartment upstairs. He heard the woman scream from across the street, got up, tried to get to his front door, heard someone racing down the stairs and assumed it was the boy.
No, I think that's possible.
Assume! All right, now you people listen to me. I've heard all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake. You know, you come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustices. Then you start telling these wild stories. And all of a sudden you start getting through to some of these old ladies in here. Well, you're not getting through to me. I've had enough. What's the matter with you people? The kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers here.
Through our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Maybe you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you bet I'd pull the switch.
Sorry for you.
Look, don't you start with me now.
What it must feel like to want to pull the switch.
Listen, I'm telling you to shut up.
Ever since we walked into this courtroom, you've been behaving like a self-appointed public avenger.
Did you hear what I said? I said shut
You
up!
want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts.
Shut up!
You're a savior.
Shut up! God damn it! I'll kill him! I'll kill him! I'll kill him!
You don't really mean you'll kill me, will you?
Yeah, what the hell are you looking at, huh?
Well, I suppose they want to start this off again. It's getting late. What are they going to do, take us out to a restaurant for dinner?
How do I know?
I wonder if they let us go home in case we can't finish tonight. We got a kid home with the mumps. He's out to here. Wife says he looks like Nixon.
Mark, the fight. This is not why we're here. This is one of the things I always thought was remarkable about democracy, that we are, what's the word? We're notified. We're notified by mail to come down to this place to decide on the guilt or innocence of a man we've never heard of before. We have nothing to gain or lose by this verdict. That's what makes us strong. We should not make it a personal thing.
You gentlemen, none of you guys have an idea. I've got a real cutie here. I didn't put much thought into it, but anyway, let me throw it out on the stoop and see if the cat licks it up.
See if the cat licks it up.
Yeah. Now, if the boy right home.
Oh, look at it outside. It's getting dark. We're gonna have a storm, I know it. Oh, God, it's hot in here. Hey, what's the matter? Don't you sweat?
No, I don't.
Listen, I wondered if we shouldn't take another vote.
Great idea. Maybe we can follow this one up with dancing and
That
refreshments.
sounds all right. Anybody doesn't want to vote?
All right, look, this is what I think, huh? I think we ought to have an open ballot. Call out our votes. Let's see who stands where.
That sounds fair. Does anybody object? I'll call off your jury numbers. Number 2,
Not guilty.
number 3, guilty. Number 4,
Guilty.
number 5.
Not guilty.
Number 6,
Not guilty.
number 7,
Guilty.
number 8,
Not guilty.
number 9,
Not guilty.
number 10,
Guilty.
number 11,
Not guilty.
number 12,
Number 12.
Guilty.
And I vote guilty, 6-6.
And we go into extra innings here.
6-6. Some of you people here are out of your mind. A kid like
I
that.
don't think the kind of boy he is has anything to do with it. The facts are supposed to determine the case.
Oh, don't give me any of that. I'm sick and tired of facts. You can twist them any which way you want, know what I mean?
That's exactly the point this gentleman has been making. I mean, you keep shouting at the top of your lungs. I'd like to be a little younger. That man... It's very hot in here.
Like a glass of water?
No, thank you.
It's going to rain.
No. Hey, how come you switched, huh?
Well, it just seemed to me that since
Well, you know you don't have a leg to stand on. You know that, don't you?
I don't feel that way at all. There's a lot of details that are starting to come
Oh,
out.
what do you mean, details? You're just letting yourself get bulldozed by a bunch of those, what do you call them, intellectuals.
No, that's not so.
Oh, come on. You're like everyone else. You know, if you think too much, you get all mixed up.
Now listen, you have no right to... Loudmouth. Wow. Listen to that, will you? Think of the cool things are.
I guess so.
Some kind of rain, huh? Well, what do you think it is? Even Steven, kind of surprising, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You know, that business before where that short guy with the curly hair over there where he was trying to bait me, you know, that doesn't prove anything, you know. I'm an excitable person. So where does he get off calling me names like that? You know, he was just trying to bait me.
You did an excellent job.
You know, look, I'm just trying to do my job here very seriously, huh? I'm no small potatoes like the rest of these fellas here. I run my own business, a messenger service. I employ over 65 people. I consider myself a very respectable citizen, and I'm just trying to do my job here, huh? Where does he get off calling me names like that? You know, I could have really belted that guy.
Listen, let me tell you what I think. We're going nowhere here. I'm all for going into court right now and declare ourselves a hung jury. There's no point in going on with this anymore.
Yeah, I'll go for that too. Let's take it into the judge and let the kid take his chances with 12 other guys, huh?
I don't think the court will accept a hung jury. We haven't been in here very long.
Well, let's find out.
I'm not in favor of it.
Listen, this kid wouldn't stand a chance with another jury, and you know it. I mean, come on, we're hung. Nobody's gonna change his opinion. Come on, let's just take it inside, huh?
There still isn't room for reasonable doubt.
No, there's not.
Maybe you don't fully understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who the hell do you think you are to talk to me like that? How do you like this guy? I tell you, now I like it. He comes over to this country running for his life, and before he can take a big breath, he's down his side to run the show. The arrogance of the guy.
No one's asking where the hell you came from.
Hey, I was born right here.
Oh, your father came from. You know something else? It doesn't hurt us to take tips from those who did come running for their lives. Maybe they've learned something we haven't.
Please, it
We're
doesn't.
not that perfect.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, Mr. Homely Philosopher, but let me tell you something. Nobody around here is going to tell me what words I understand and what words I don't, yeah? Especially...
All right, let's stop all this arguing for 2 minutes in here. Now, who's got something constructive to say?
There's something I'd like to talk about if you gentlemen don't mind. An important point for the prosecution is the fact that the boy, after he claimed he was at the movies during the time the killing took place, couldn't remember the films he saw or the stars who appeared in them. This gentleman has pointed that out several times.
That's correct. It was the only alibi the boy offered, and he himself couldn't back it up with any details at all.
Putting yourself in the place of the boy, if you can, do you think you could remember details after an upsetting experience such as being struck in the face by your father?
I think so. If there were any special details to remember, he couldn't remember the movies at the theater he named because he wasn't there that night.
According to police testimony, he was questioned in the kitchen of his apartment while the body of his father was lying on the floor in the bedroom. Do you think you could remember details under those circumstances?
I do.
Under great emotional stress?
Under great emotional stress.
You remember the movies in court, you named them correctly and the stars who appeared in them.
Yes, his lawyer took great pains to bring that out. He had 3 months from the night of the murder to the day of the trial in which to memorize them. It's not hard for an attorney to find out what movies played at what theater on what particular night. But I'll take the testimony of the policeman that interrogated him right after the movie, when he couldn't remember a thing about the movies, great emotional stress or not.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Where were you last night?
I was at home.
And the night before?
Come on, what is this?
That's perfectly all right. I was at my office until 8:30. I then went home and straight to bed.
And the night before that?
Tuesday night. I was at a bridge tournament. I played bridge.
And Monday night?
When you get him down to New Year's Eve 1962, let me know, huh?
Monday night, my wife and I went to the movies.
What did you see?
The Scarlet Circle. It's a clever whodunit.
What was the second feature?
The remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge.
I saw that. It's called The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
The amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
Who was in The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge?
Barbara Lang, tall, dark girl. Barbara
Who
Lawrence.
else?
I don't know. It was a relative inexpensive second feature with an unknown
You weren't
cast.
under an emotional strain, were you?
No, I wasn't.
I think the point is made.
Big point.
I think it is a big point.
What, just because he can't remember the name of some lousy two-bit movie star? I suppose that proves the kid's at the movies.
No, but it indicates that nobody can prove that he wasn't. He might have been at the movies and forgotten what he saw. It's possible. If it's perfectly normal for the gentleman to forget a few details, then it's also perfectly normal for the boy. Being accused of murder doesn't necessarily give him an infallible memory.
Look, you can talk until your tongue is dragging on the floor. The boy is guilty, period. You know what I mean, my friend? Who's got those cough drops?
They're all gone, my friend.
You know, there's something we're forgetting here that I was just thinking about. What's that whole business that dragged out forever? You know, with the psychiatrist where he got all involved?
Oh, don't give me any of that psycho, whatever you call it, stuff. What a racket that is. Stuffing people's minds with that junk. I got 3 psychiatrists keeping their cars in my garages. All 3 of them are crazy.
Listen, there's a point I'm trying to make.
I
Keep in
wouldn't
mind-
give you a nickel for a psychiatrist.
Don't you let the man talk. You take 5 minutes on the uselessness of psychiatry when he's finished.
Thanks. What I was going to say was that the psychiatrist definitely stated that the boy had strong homicidal tendencies, that he felt like killing someone half the time. Well, not felt like that he was, what do you call it, he was capable. He described all those tests and ink blots and all that stuff. And he said that the kid is definitely a killer type. Am I right?
You are right. You mentioned something also about paranoid tendencies, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Whatever that is, he said it. Now we're talking about a boy who's always had murder on his mind.
He's unconscious.
Nobody else's.
I beg pardon.
I beg pardon. What are you so polite about?
For the same reason you're not. It's the way I was brought up. Now, in discussing such a thing as the murder potential, we must remember that many of us are capable of committing murder, but few of us do. We impose controls upon ourselves to prevent it. Now, the most that these psychiatric tests can accomplish along these lines is this. They can tell us that someday a particular person may commit murder. That's all. They prove nothing.
Then why were they admitted into evidence?
Well, they have many uses, of course. In this case, they contributed to the impression that the prosecutor was trying to create. Perhaps if we 12 men took the same test, we might find that 1 or 2 of us had unconscious desires to kill, and the potentiality for carrying them out, but none of us has. To say that a man is capable of murder does not mean that he has committed murder.
But it can mean it. Listen, if they said the kid is capable of killing, he could have killed.
You're the one who said, and I quote, I wouldn't give you a nickel for a psychiatrist's testimony.
Boy, I'm telling you,
Hey, let's take it easy, huh?
Hey, what time is it? There's a clock over there.
It's 8 minutes after 6. Man, would you listen to that rain out there?
Can I see that for a second?
We're still tied up 6-6. Who's got a suggestion?
Well, we could get some dinner.
Hey, why don't we wait until 7? Give it an hour.
Okay with me? There's something that's been bothering me, and as long as we're stuck. There's this whole business about the stab wound and how it was made. Downward angle of it.
Oh, come on, you're not gonna bring that up, are you? They went over it and over it.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. Now, the boy is 5 feet 7 inches tall, and his father is 6'2". It's a difference of 7 inches. It's a very awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone that's more than half a foot taller than you are.
All right. Hey, give me that thing. Come on. Give me that thing. Now, you guys aren't gonna be happy until we go through this again, are you, all right? Huh? And I'm gonna give you a little demonstration here. Somebody stand up. Come on, come on, come on, somebody stand up.
Watch out.
All right, now look, I want you to pay attention over here, all right? Now, what am I, about 6 or 7 inches shorter than you are?
That's right, maybe a little more.
All right, let it be more. Now, look, I'm only going to do this once, so I want you to pay attention. All right.
What the hell's the matter with you?
That's not funny.
Nobody got hurt, did they?
No, nobody's hurt.
All right, there you go, huh? There's your angle. Down and in, down and in. Now, that's how I stab somebody who was taller than me, and that's how it was done. Now, go ahead. Somebody tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. Guess there's no argument.
There you go, there you go.
Has anyone here ever stabbed a man?
Oh, come on, let's not be silly.
Have you or haven't you?
I haven't.
Where do you get all your information about how it's done? You ever seen a knifing?
How do I know?
Don't you think seeing a man knife would make a pretty vivid impression on you? Have you ever seen a knifing?
No!
Alright. Boy was pretty experienced with one of these things, wasn't he? Even sent to reform school for knifing someone? Isn't that so?
That's
yeah.
right.
Okay, take a look at this. Doesn't that seem like an awkward way to handle a knife?
It's the way I'd use a knife if I felt like using a knife.
Hey, wait a minute. Can I see that?
You ever seen a knife fight?
Yeah.
Where?
My backyard, lots across the street, even on my doorstep once. Switchblades and knife fights came to the neighborhood where I lived. It's funny, I didn't think about it earlier. Well, you try and forget some things.
How do you use a switchblade?
Underhanded. No one who knew how to use one would use it any other way.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. That's why they're made like this.
Boy, it was pretty handy with a knife, wasn't he? Do you think he could have made the type of wound that killed his father?
No. Not with the experience he'd had with these things all his life. He'd go from underhanded. Like that.
Oh, come on. Were you standing in the room when the father was killed?
No, and neither was anyone
Oh,
else.
come on. You're giving us a lot of mumbo-jumbo here. I don't believe it.
I don't think we can determine what type of wound the boy may or may not have made simply because he knows how to use a knife.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Give me that thing there.
What do you think? I don't know.
You mean you don't know?
How about you?
Just a minute. According to the woman across the street.
Listen. I'll tell you something here. I mean, I'm a little sick of this thing here already. All this yakking. I mean, it's getting us nowhere. So, why don't we break it up, huh? I'm changing my vote to not guilty.
You know what?
I've had enough.
What do you mean you've had enough? That's no answer.
Hey, you, just worry about yourself there, will you?
He's right. That's not an answer. What kind of a man are you? You sat here and voted guilty with everyone else because of some baseball tickets burning a hole in your pocket. And now you've changed your vote to not guilty because you say you're sick of all the talking here.
Now listen, buddy.
Who tells you can play like this with a man's life? It's an ugly and a horrible thing to do. Don't you care that...
Now, wait a minute. You can't talk to me like that.
I can talk to you like that. You can vote not guilty if you're convinced the man is not guilty, but not because you've had enough. And if you think he's guilty, then vote that way. Or don't you have the guts to do what you think is right?
Now, listen.
Guilty or not guilty?
I told you. Not guilty.
Why?
I don't have to.
You don't have to. Say it. Why?
I don't think he's guilty.
Like another vote.
Okay, there's another vote called for. I guess the quickest way is to find out who's voting not guilty. All those voting guilty, please raise your hand. Not guilty, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All those voting guilty. 3. The vote is 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
What's the matter with you people? I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing. You saw this kid just like I did. You're not going to tell me you believe that phony story about losing the knife or that business about being at the movies. Look, you know how these people lie. It's bored of them. I mean, what the hell? I don't have to tell you. they don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need any real big reason to kill somebody either. No, sir. Yeah, no, they get drunk. Oh, they're very big drinkers, all of them. And bang, someone's lying in the gutter. Oh, no one's blaming them for it. That's the way they are by nature, you know what I mean? Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Hey, where are you going? Look, these people are washing up and fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Oh, sure that there are some good things about him, too. Look, I'm the first one to say that. I've known a couple of them who are okay, but that's the exception, you know what I mean? Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What's going on here? I'm trying to tell you, you're making a big mistake, you people. This kid on trial, this kid is a liar. I know it. I know all about him. What's going on here? I was making my peace, and you... Listen to me, they're no good! There's not a one of them, there's not one that's any good! Boy, are you smart? Well, let me tell you, this kid on trial here is tight. Well, don't you know about them? Listen to me! What are you doing? I'm trying to tell you something! There's a danger here! These people are wild! Don't you know about it? Listen to me! Listen to me! Listen to me! Listen to me.
If you open your mouth again, I'm gonna split your skull!
I'm only trying to tell you.
Hard to keep personal prejudice out of a thing like this. No matter where you run into it, prejudice obscures the truth. Well, I don't think any real damage has been done here because I don't really know what the truth is. No one ever will, I suppose. But 9 of us now seem to feel that the defendant is innocent. We're just gambling on probabilities. We may be trying to return a guilty man to the community. No one can really know. But we have a reasonable doubt. This is a safeguard which has enormous value to our system. No jury can declare a man guilty unless it's sure. We 9 can't understand how you 3 are still so sure. Maybe you can tell us.
I'll try. You've made some excellent points. The last one, in which you proved that the boy could not have made the type of overhand stab wound that killed his father, was quite convincing. But I still believe the boy is guilty. I have 2 reasons. 1, the evidence given by the woman who lives across the street who said she saw the murder committed.
And how, brother? As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
And 2, the fact that this woman described the stabbing by saying she saw the boy raise his arm over his head and plunge the knife down into his father's chest. She saw him do it the wrong way.
That's right, that's absolutely right.
Now let's talk about this woman for a minute. She said she went to bed about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed is next to the window, and she can look out while lying down and see directly into the boy's window across the street. She tossed and she turned for about an hour or so, unable to fall asleep. When finally, about 10 minutes after 12, she turned towards the window, and as she looked out, she saw the killing through the windows of a passing elevated train. She said the lights went out immediately after the killing, but she got a good look at the boy in the act of stabbing his father. As far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
What do you think? How about you?
Oh, no. There's too much evidence to sift through. It's complicated business.
Frankly, I don't see how you can vote for an acquittal.
It's not so easy to arrange the evidence in order.
Look, you can forget all that other stuff. The woman saw him do it. What more do you want?
Yeah, but maybe the boy...
I want to vote.
Okay, there's another vote called for. Anybody object?
I'd like to change my vote. I think he's guilty.
Okay, the score is now 8-4. Anybody else?
Why is this so important to you, a personal triumph, this one vote?
I'm the competitive type. What can I tell you? All right, this is what I think, huh? I think we're a hung jury in here, huh? I think we're all hung up. I think we ought to go into the judge and tell him we're hung. Come on, I want some arguments. What about you, huh? You're the leader of the cause. What do you got to say about it?
Let's go over it again.
We went over it and over it. Batten, Barton, Durston, and Osborne over here is bouncing back and forth like a tennis ball.
No right to talk.
Hey, I apologize on my knees. Come on. Let's get out from under this thing, huh? I'm sick of arguing with you already.
There's no point in getting nasty about it. You keep trying to make this into some sort of contest.
Okay.
Maybe we could discuss setting up some sort of time limit.
Yeah, once around to the dealer.
It's 20 minutes after 6. Someone said something earlier about 7 o'clock. I think that's the point of time. We might want to discuss the question whether we're a hung jury or not.
Don't you feel well?
I feel perfectly well, thank you. As I was saying, 7 o'clock...
The reason I asked you that was because we're rubbing your nose like... I'm sorry for interrupting, but you made a gesture that reminded me.
Do you mind? I'm trying to settle something.
I think this is important. Thank you. Now, I'm sure you'll pardon me for asking this, but I was wondering why you were rubbing your nose like that.
Oh, come on now, will you please?
At this point, I happen to be talking to the gentleman sitting next to you. Now, why were you rubbing your nose?
Well, if it's any of your business, I was rubbing it because it bothers me.
I'm sorry, is it because of your glasses?
It is. Now, can we get on to something else?
Your eyeglasses make those deep impressions on the sides of your nose. I hadn't noticed that before. They must be annoying.
They are annoying.
I wouldn't know about that. I've never worn eyeglasses. 2020.
Oh, will you come on already with the optometrist bit?
You have excellent recuperative powers. The woman who testified that she saw the killing had those same marks on the sides of her nose.
Oh, come on. What are you doing?
Please, just a minute and then I'll be finished. I don't know if anyone else noticed that about her. I didn't think about it then, but I've been going over her face in my mind. She had those marks. She kept rubbing them in court.
He's right.
So-
She did do that a lot.
So what if she did?
This woman was about 45 years old. She was making a tremendous effort to look 35 for her first public appearance. Heavy makeup, dyed hair, brand new clothes that should have been worn by a younger woman. No eyeglasses. We didn't do that. See if you can get a mental picture of her.
How do you know she wasn't wearing glasses? How do you know that? What? Just because she was rubbing her nose?
She had those marks. I saw them.
So what? What's that mean?
You know, I'm getting pretty sick of you yelling in here.
Yeah, cut it out.
You know, he's right. I saw him too. I was the closest one to her. She had those deep things. You know, what do you call it?
So what? She had dyed hair and marks on her nose. I'm asking you, what's that mean?
Would those marks be made by anything other than eyeglasses?
No, they couldn't.
Now, what are you talking about here? I didn't see any marks.
I did. Strange, but I didn't think about it.
I know we're talking about it. I saw him too, and I mean, it never occurred to me.
Hey, what about the lawyer, huh? How come he didn't say something?
There are 12 of us in here concentrating on this case. 11 of us didn't think of it either.
Yeah? All right, Mr. Smart Guy, Mr. Clarence Darrow over there. How about the DA, huh? You think he'd pull a trick like that? Have her testify without glasses?
Did you ever see a woman who had to wear glasses but didn't want to because she thought it would spoil her looks?
Yeah, my wife. I mean, the minute we walk out of the house.
Maybe the DA didn't know either.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
All right. So she had marks on her nose, huh? I'm giving you this. From glasses, right? And she never wore them out of the house because she wanted everybody to think she was gorgeous. But when she saw this kid kill his father, she was in the house, alone. That's all.
Do you wear your glasses when you go to bed?
No, I don't. No one wears eyeglasses to bed.
It's logical to say that she wasn't wearing them when she was in bed, tossing and turning, trying to fall asleep.
How do you know?
I don't know, I guessed. I'm also guessing that she didn't put them on when she turned to look casually out of the window. And she herself said that the killing took place just as she looked out and the lights went off a split second later. She couldn't have had time to put them on then.
Oh, come on, wait a second here. What is
Here's
this
another
stuff
guess.
here?
Maybe she honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father. I say she saw only a blur.
How do you know what she saw? How does he know all these things? Huh? What do you know about it? Maybe she was farsighted. Maybe they were sunglasses. What do you know about it?
I only know that the woman's eyesight is in question now.
And she had to be able to identify a person from 60 feet away at night without glasses.
You can't send someone off to die on evidence like that.
I don't give you that.
Don't you think she might have made a mistake?
No.
It's not possible?
No, it's not possible.
Is it possible?
Well, yes.
You think he's guilty?
No.
I think he's guilty.
Is anyone else?
No, I'm convinced.
Come on, what's the matter with you?
I have a reasonable doubt now.
It's 11-1 now.
Well, what about all that other stuff about the knife? What about the other evidence
You
there?
said we could throw out all the other evidence.
Well, what do we do now, huh? You're all alone.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. It's my right.
It's your right.
Well, what do you want from me? I think he's guilty.
We want arguments.
I gave you my
I'm
argument.
not convinced. We want to hear them again. For as much time as it takes.
Everything. Every single thing that came out of that courtroom, but I mean everything, says he's guilty. What do you think, I'm an idiot or something? Why don't you take that stuff about the old man, huh? The old man who lived there and heard everything. I take that stuff about the knife. What? Just because he found one exactly like it? The old man saw it right there on the stairs. So what's the difference? Every single thing. A knife falling through a hole in his pocket. Yeah. You can't prove that he didn't get to the door. Oh, sure, you can hobble around here and take all the time you want, but you can't prove it. What about that stuff with the L, huh? The L. And the movies. The movies. There's a phony story if I ever heard one. I'll bet you $5,000 that I would remember the movies I saw the night I killed my father. As if I ever would. I'm telling you people, everything that went on in that courtroom, but I mean everything, has been turned around and twisted in here. But the stuff with the glasses, all the business with the glasses. How do you know she didn't have them on? The woman testified in court. What about that, all the business about hearing the boy yell? What about that? Come on, I got all the facts here. You guys. Well, that's it. That's the whole case.